Look, we're there. We're live.
All right. It says
We're
we're
doing
live now, but I like to give a little bit of instruction beforehand so that in case it takes a minute to pop up for everybody else, we're not, cutting you guys off. So welcome everybody this evening to the Gildify Con I Work Out. So I am going to be your very fat host, Ryan Maxwell, the guy who probably least deserves to be here, but I'm still happy to be here with all these great people. They're going to be talking about some of these topics for how working out can help with mental health as well as the writing that they're going to be doing or performing that they do in this system as well. So with us we have CJ, and we have, I'm going to call you DK because everybody else has initials. We have Dakota with us. We have
Fair enough.
JS and we have TJ. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys begin by doing a little bit of a plug. We'll do a plug at the beginning and a plug at the end, so everybody gets a chance. If somebody comes in late, they get to see where your plug was as well. So CJ, why don't you go ahead and start us off? What are you working on right now? What are you happy to see coming along the pipeline?
At the moment, I'm not working on anything other than getting ready for a baby coming. But
Ooh, congrats, man.
Thank you. I write Aussie Lit RPG, so I write stories about men riding giant wombats and stories about Santa kicking ass. I also work as a doctor full time. I'm a GP, or a primary care physician, as it's known in the US, and I'm very excited to be here.
Excellent. Thanks, CJ. All right, Dakota, how about you?
Hi, guys. I'm Dakota Kraut. I am an author. I like to write books. I write a lot of books. And right now I'm just about to start month 2 in 6 months of putting out a book every month of my own. So that's pretty exciting. So all those books are written, and I've been sitting on them, not releasing them. I think the first set of 3 was done back in January. So actually, so October, November, December, January, February, and March, I already have those books written and recorded, and they're just waiting on publishing. So if you're looking for them, it's books 9, 10, and 11 in Completionist Chronicles, followed by a new trilogy that is coming out actually through Audible directly. So that's really cool.
Perfect. All right, Jess, how about you?
Hey, I'm J.S. Arquin. I am a narrator. I've narrated over 150 titles, primarily science fiction, fantasy, and lots of lit RPG.
Perfect. You have anything coming up that you want to plug in there for something that's coming out soon?
Gosh, there's so many coming through. I'm excited about a new series I've got coming out through Dreamscape Lore, written by Troy Osgood. Book 1 is Warbreaker.
Awesome. Great. I love some of his stuff as well, so I can't wait to get my hands on that.
Yeah,
TJ.
it's real good.
Yeah, TJ, how about you? What do you got coming up that you're excited about?
Hey everyone, I'm TJ Lombardi. I am the author of the Dying Breed series and the Scalpel Chronicles. The Dying Breed series is my epic fantasy. It's got a progression system, very soft progression. It's also got a soft cultivation magic system. So I'm currently working on the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, book 5, 6 in that series, I guess you could say. And then my Scalpel Chronicle is a lit RPG first-person shooter. Book 2 is releasing on my Patreon and will release on Royal Road in January. So yeah.
Nice.
All right. Perfect. Well, it's great to have all of you guys here with us, and we are super excited to get to talk to each of you. I just want to give you a big thanks for coming along and putting in some time. We know you could be doing other things, but we appreciate you guys setting aside this time to come be here with us. Talking about working out and how that can better help your mental health, make you feel better overall, do things like that in this genre, or in any genre really, with writing or daily life. We know that these things come up a lot. We know that there's been a big push recently for better health for people overall in the world as a whole. There's talks of the average size of, especially in America, people becoming larger and larger over time, that they need to work on those more often. I want to know, what do you guys do on a regular basis to feel better and be more prepared, and how does that affect your writing on a day-to-day basis? And then if anybody has any questions, feel free to start leaving those in the chat as well, if anybody's joining us live, or for everybody joining us live out there. CJ, why don't we go ahead and start with you? Being a doctor, that's got to have a large impact on your thought process on how you operate daily.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of what I do yoga in the mornings. I mix that in with some cardio and a bit of weights training through the week. The idea of exercise is very important. There's really good evidence demonstrating its benefit in physical health, mental health, and I try to create a non-judgmental space in my clinic for health at every size, and whatever movement that someone can do is fine. Whatever we can get them to do is perfect. They do not have to meet the strict guidelines. But I'm a big fan of yoga. I just came back from Lennox Head where I had a surf trip. So whatever movement suits a person, I think is great.
Perfect. Dakota, how about you? What kind of things do you normally get into?
Yeah, man. So actually, I do a lot of workouts nowadays. So back when I was in the Army, I did almost entirely running and isometrics, to the point where I was in, a lot of stuff there. Army, you can just say that, and kind of physical fitness comes to mind. So lots of that. I got injured, hurt my knees a while back, and so I had to switch over to essentially powerlifting. And so actually right now I'm doing, I do 5 days of lifting every week. So Monday through Friday, I'm up at 4:30 and I work out with that. And then that's been going so well, in fact, that I've been having concerns that I'm not doing enough cardio. So now I'm doing cardio is on a 12-hour switch. So it's mornings with heavy workouts, and then evenings with like rowing and biking. And I recently started rollerblading again. So that was a thing. Nice. And yeah, it's tough, but it's really, really, really useful and really effective. So yeah. And then was there follow up to so what we did, and then do you want to hear why we did it, or was there just kind of?
Yeah, I would be curious to know your thoughts on how you feel like that's affecting you on your day-to-day work.
Absolutely, man. I mean, if you don't take time for your health, you'll be forced to take time for your illness. I mean, that's all there is to it. And whether that's physical, emotional, whatever it is, man, your relationships, everything will suffer if you don't take time for them. And so that's kind of where I come on with these. And yeah, so I work really, really hard, and then I try to stay really healthy, and I try to have a really great family life, and also participate in my community. And sleep is always questionable. So, but that's just how it is. It's very useful, and it's one of the only ways to make this sort of career a sustainable long-term one. So I highly recommend it.
Perfect. JS, how about you next?
So coming up as an actor, it may sound a little cheesy, but they teach you, one of the first things they teach you is that your body is your instrument, so it's like if you're a cello player, you got to take good care of your cello. Violin, you got to take good care of your violin. As an actor, this is it. This is what we got. So you have to stay in tune and stay in shape and take the best care of it you can. Otherwise, you can't play, or you can't work in this case. So I always try to do my best. And, my job requires me sitting in a small box with no windows for, 6 to 8 hours a day, not moving, or moving very little anyway. So I try to get outside as much as I can outside of those bounds. I get out for a walk every morning around sunrise, just a little half hour. I throw some 5-pound weights around my wrists. I kind of pump my arms. I'll do a little jog for a block just to get my heart rate up, and then walk a couple blocks and then do it again. Just to get the blood moving, and get outside and kind of expand my horizons. Like CJ, I also like to do yoga. I do a little yoga warm up before I record every day, while I'm warming up my voice. And so those are I do other things in the evening, more fun things that also are exercise related. But as far as my daily routine, that's my daily routine. Every morning, those are the things I do before I start my work day.
That sounds great. Some great ideas there.
Thanks, Brian. Miss you, buddy.
All right, TJ, how about you?
So I actually approached this question 2 different ways, right? The mind, body, and spirit, and then your cardio, your strength, and your nutrition. So when I look at this, my mind, my body, my spirit, I have to constantly work on keeping my mental health in check with the thoughts and the words that I speak about myself, how I view myself in situations, and constantly not trying to degrade myself or my efforts in whatever I do. And I've really worked on that over the last 2 years, and it's been really incredible to see how that has developed everything else around me. So I try to start with my mind. I then try to start with my spirit and continue to focus on that and consider what do I bring into my body from both absorption of content to substance as well on a nutritional side. And then the body is obviously the physical side of things where almost every day or about 5 to 6 times a week, I do try to do some cardio. Most of that recently has been walking, but also some jogging and running. And then my strength, I am at the point from my military service where we'll just use my shoulders, for instance. I've got so much damage within my shoulder joints that if I don't work out, I will be in extreme pain. If I work out too much, I am in extreme pain. So I have to have this nice balance where my muscle structure is actually preserving that joint and keeping it in balance. So I normally do weight training about 4 to 5 times a week as well. And then nutritional side, within the last month, I've started to work on a routine and start trying to make healthy choices. Right now, my current thing that I'm doing is trying to eliminate all processed oils out of my diet. So canola oil, sunflower seed oil, anything that was processed, I have been trying to eliminate that. And I cannot just speak how much my body feels amazing. It's been an incredible thing just in the last 2 weeks. So yeah, that's kind of my approach to it.
Okay. So what I hear you saying is that when we celebrate the victories that we get each time, I should celebrate the one sit-up I do a day out of bed and then back down when I lay down. That's a great place to start. And then I have to add just a couple more in the meantime, right?
I
counts.
say celebrate every victory you have because the
Hmm.
world society is already negative as it is, and it's going to try to maximize every defeat you think you have, right? So yeah, if you can start out with one sit-up a day, hell yeah, that's better than no sit-ups a day. 2 years ago, I was still in the military, still rocking my PT tests, and yet I still would start my push-ups on my knees, building my, muscular structure away from weight training. So, we all have to start back at a baseline and build up.
Cool. All right, we did have a question from Michael that asked, do any of you guys have a home gym specifically set up? I would guess that would be more of the full weight kind of style deal, or is it something that you just kind of have done what a lot of people did during COVID, where you made use of the things that you had around the house to incorporate more exercise into what you're doing daily? JS, why don't we start with you?
I do not have a home gym. It's kind of funny. My father actually was a bodybuilder, so he looks like The Rock, like he's a huge guy. And so we always had a home gym growing
Looks
up.
like
and
The Rock or is The Rock? Because
I wish he was The Rock. That would be a lot more awesome. But no, he looks like The Rock. So he always tried to get me into weight training and doing the gym, and it just never was my jam. Like I didn't enjoy it, and so I have to do physical exercises that I enjoy, and that's just not one that's for me. So I don't have a home gym.
Okay. Dakota, how about we have you next?
I do have a home gym. So I was in the unenviable position during COVID of living in Grand Forks, North Dakota in the winter during COVID. And I don't know if you know how few amenities there are in that town, but then even those were taken away. So I straight up moved, man. I left the state and everything because that was terrible. And so I got to my current house. This is just my office, which is super cool. I recently redid it and I'm really happy with it. But first thing we did is we bought our own playground, right, for my kid because all
And
that
the
was
second
closed
thing
down.
was the Shetland pony. That was
Well, actually, no. I mean, that's. I mean, it's. Anything I say is gonna go wrong. So yeah, there's portions in there. I don't know, like whatever. But no. So the second thing was I bought myself a very very nice coffee machine, and then the third thing was a full half rack squat rack gym, and then I have a nice rowing machine as well. And yeah, so that gives me everything I need from military press to squats squats are every single day, and then deadlifts, bench press, hammer curls, preacher curls, the whole shebang. Can do all of it, and then just lay down for abs, and you're good. So it's been really nice. And if anyone cares to know, I went from a size 58 suit coat last year to a size 46 this year. So
Congrats, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well done.
So feeling good about that. And then hopefully by next year, I'm starting now. So beach bod by summer, right? Yeah.
You got to project it, man. You got this.
Great.
Yes.
Beach dad bod at least. All right. I'll
Hell
take that.
All right.
So yes, I
TJ.
do have it at home.
What's that?
That was the question. But
Yep.
I found it is much more likely that I'll be in my garage than I'll drive 12 miles to the nearest gym, So yeah. So anyway, go on, please.
All right. TJ, how about you next?
So I do not have a garage gym set up currently. I do have all the items, and I miss it. So it was 2 years ago. I had a squat rack very similar to what Dakota has, where I could basically do the majority of exercises I wanted. I had a hex bar for doing deadlifts, but I actually used it for farmer's carries, if people know what those are. I had a complete setup with about 1,000 pounds of free weight that I used. So I love the garage gym setup, but I will say I always get a better workout when I am in a physical gym with other people. And right now, currently, I have a Planet Fitness membership that is ending very soon. And so I still use that to get my workouts in that I need to, but I know personally that my quality of workout is just not where it is because of the environment. So
Sarah's here. Hi, Sarah.
All right, CJ, how about you? I know you showed us a little bit of the equipment that you do use there. It doesn't have to necessarily be a full home gym, but if you did have that, let us know what kind of things you use at home when you're working out.
I don't have a full home gym. We do have yoga mats and stuff for functional training, so we can set up a yoga class very easily. That was something we could do during COVID. I'm currently on a functional challenge where I do 10 push-ups every time JS puts out a new audiobook and every time I find a Dakota Kraut pun in his book. Well, I tell you, I can only imagine TJ's been doing that, looking at him like he's a monster.
Yeah,
You're going to be huge by the end of the year, CJ.
Yeah, I thought you guys were against guns over there in Australia a little bit more than we are here in the United States.
But yeah, I like what JS said, what TJ said about I like getting outside first thing in the morning if I can. And I do find I get a harder workout sometimes if I go to a gym where there's other people around from that external pressure or just from the change in environment. But whatever works,
Absolutely. So just as another question to kind of follow up with some of the things we talked about already, with the way that society kind of views the weight problems nowadays, there's kind of two sides of the extremes that we have. The people who are saying that fat shaming is wrong, people should be allowed to be who they want to be, and then we have the other side that says all of you are going to die in a McDonald's someday because you won't stop eating this crap. So what kind of things do you really feel like is there a nice happy medium that we can find where we can say, it's okay to give yourself some grace on the fact that you're going to in the beginning fall off the wagon sometimes, but you're definitely not going to live to see your later years, your golden years, if you're going to continue down that style where you're just driving through the drive-through every time you want to go find a meal. Dakota.
I'm just saying, like, I can always find a happy medium, but I've always been a happy large or a happy XL. So I can say, really, even when I was at like my smallest adult body weight, I was at 200 pounds, but I was, that was when I was running 7-minute miles, and like I ran half marathon in Kansas City at that point. And like, I had all this other great physical stuff going on, but I was also just a big dude because, constant workouts with the Army, that just is kind of what you do. And, again, it all comes down to health, man. It's not, and yeah, exactly as you had mentioned, everyone can be exactly how they want to be. Right. I find that I have a lot less issue with professional conduct if I go into a meeting looking and acting professional, right? I have been a myriad of sizes throughout my life. Like I think in 9th grade, I was like 350 pounds, right? So like I've been really big, I've been really small, and had all, like health at all sorts of different levels. And I can tell you, just without any other like my thoughts on it, if you walk into a meeting and you look like a leader, act like a leader, and like people see that you are healthy and disciplined in one aspect of your life, they're going to treat you like that for other aspects of your life. It's a lot easier to get really great deals. It's a lot easier to get people on board with what you have to say if you can back it up with, look, I have done this, right? Or look at how I comport myself currently. And I mean, if you are happy the way you are, cool, man, be happy, like. But I'm just saying, my own personal experience has been I'm happier when I'm very fit, and I want to be that way. So,
Perfect.
Yep.
All right. CJ, how about you? What are your thoughts on the extremes versus trying to find that place where you're going to be able to continue doing what you want to do, I guess, in that case?
Pretty.
Yeah, look, it's a tough question. My lawyer will want me to chip in here and just say that anything I say is not medical advice, and to have a conversation with your own health professional, legal stuff out of the way. I find it really hard because we see it, people, and this is in Australian context, right? But in Australia, we also have a pretty big obesity problem, but we also have a lot of eating disorders, and we treat a lot of eating disorders at our clinic. And that's one of the few things that really can lead to death in young people. So it's this huge problem. It's magnified by Instagram influencers. It's magnified by people's body image. So the sensible approach we try to take is that we talk about health at every size. We have a conversation with each patient that comes in the door about what their goals are, where they would like to be, and what health looks like to them. I think that is a more positive approach than, say, fat shaming or coming in and telling people off. And I just say, look, this is what I can do to help you. These are some of the recommendations for what exercise you can do. But ultimately, we'll just work with you to find what is the best for your scenario. Because it's not just people eating for eating. There's usually something underlying it, whether it's trauma, whether it's the childhood, whether it's societal stresses. So it's a hard question. I think there are some recommendations from the CDC on America about, do 150 minutes of exercise a week, but there's nuance is what I'm driving at.
That makes complete sense.
And real quick, these comments coming in talking about pretty privilege, all I'm seeing is you guys are calling me pretty, so thank you. This is very nice. I need to hear this, so thank you.
All right, TJ, what about you? How do you feel about all this?
I can't speak to everyone, right? I can only speak about myself and what I've gone through. So for myself, I think Dakota and I were probably very similar, where I grew up extremely heavy. I was over 300 pounds with over a 48-inch waist. And, I remember sitting down crying, breaking down because I knew at that point I wanted to join the military, and yet I couldn't. And so for a year, I just told myself, you are going to do this. How bad do you want this? And so I lost 127 pounds and I joined the military. But I still had that version of TJ in my head. And I still had that version of TJ look at me in the mirror every day. And it took me 17 years of constantly working to get my mind in a better state and get my spirit in a better state, even though my body was in a better state, right? And so that's where I still look at this as a three-pronged approach. So I got fit, I lost this weight, yet I still wasn't happy with myself. And I had to just come to this point of life of being like, dude, look at all these great things that you've been blessed with. Look at, you could have, so many issues that other people suffer, and you have no issues besides your bad attitude, besides your bad self-image. Get over this shit. And so it's still something I work on every day. But for me, when I make these healthy choices of nutrition, I still plan to eat a birthday cake with Brian's face printed on it. And I'm going to enjoy that birthday cake. But that means that I'm still going to make healthier choices throughout the rest of the week. I am still going to work on this every day. So I don't know if I necessarily answer your question, but I think my advice for everyone is, if you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, then there's only one person who can change that, and that's you. but just start with your mind, start with your spirit, and start with your body, and every day work on it 1% at a time.
Yeah, that seems like some great advice for that. I mean, I've been in that situation myself personally, where you think about those things and you've got to be, you can only be mad at yourself for the times that the time you're spending in a place that you're not happy with. So that makes complete sense. JS, how about you?
I'm not going to add a lot to what these guys have already said, because I feel like they've really covered this question very well and very thoroughly. I just want to reiterate that what TJ said and what Dakota said about, basically it's all about how you feel about yourself. If you feel great about yourself, because Dakota's saying people treat you differently. Well, I think they're treating you differently because you feel differently and you're projecting different energy because you feel differently, and so if you feel great about yourself, being slightly overweight, or if that's how you feel, like that's how you feel healthy, that's fine. You know what I mean? It's all about what works for you. Like, you don't have to be The Rock, or whatever, a Hollywood body. Like, whatever body type feels right for you and makes you feel good and healthy and confident in yourself, that's what you go with.
Makes sense.
So
Dakota,
I will say in the Army there was a very specific thing I can reference where if TJ knows about this, it's height and weight, right? So if you have height, weight, and then if you're like, hey, you're too heavy for your height, then they tape you, all that fun stuff. So while I was in NCOIC, wow. Woo! When I was in training to become an NCO. Wow, that was it's been 10 years almost now.
Come back to the light. Come back, DK. You got this.
All right. So wow, that was bad. So when I was in training to go NCO school, essentially, to become a sergeant, I was a beefy dude. So even though I was making all my stuff and I was making weight, like height and weight, with the tape, because I didn't make height and weight, because I was like muscly and kind of shorter, they would just knock 10% off your test score. So they're like, hey, you don't look like a leader, so we can't treat you like a leader. So that was where that really mentality kind of filtered in for me. So that was like an actual score that was lost for me. So that's kind of where it's always been like, okay, like what can I do to, be at a position where I comport myself in every way that I possibly can, physically, and how can I speak better so that people want to listen? How can I have information that people want to hear? All of that fun stuff. And so that's kind of very, very much so inspired my journey in my career as it is. So yeah.
I think one thing
WLC, that's what it was. Warrior Leaders Course. Yeah, sorry.
If I can add on to this, I think a lot of people, we forget, right? Because when it comes to body sizing and the storage of fat within our bodies, like, it's not something that you just wake up with the next day and like, I can't fit into my pants, right? It's this gradual thing that creeps up on us until it's like, wait a minute, this maybe something happened here. And so sometimes we just put so much pressure on ourselves to start making these small choices, right? It takes 3,500 calories to burn 1 pound of fat. Now, it's really easy to consume that many calories and to add that in. And so some things, like what I try to encourage people is I think of like, what is it? Whittling, when you have a piece of wood and you're slowly carving it away, right? A lot of these things is you can create this great item of art, but you have to slowly whittle away this wood and shape it to what you want. And once you get to that point of asking yourself, I think I need to make some positive changes, just know that this is not something that is going to happen overnight, but just make these small changes.
Oh my.
Just make these small changes over time and just slowly whittle these extra calories away that you need to.
Makes perfect sense. All right, we did have a question in from Jay Baraz. Something that I've come up with against as well, having some back issues in this. What kind of things do you guys think would be a good place for people to start? Since we've talked about some of the body transformations that people like Dakota and TJ have been through. What kind of places would you all advise is a good place for somebody who doesn't work out or may have some pain that they need to overcome? What kind of things would you encourage them to do to get started in this process? Dakota, go ahead.
Walk. Seriously, walk. It's amazing how much that is discounted, right? If you go for a long walk, go for a half-hour walk once a day for like 2 weeks, you're gonna notice a lot of changes. Literally, like just go walk around your neighborhood. You're out getting some fresh air. You're going for a walk. It's nice. You might see your neighbors, and it's amazing how much just that even little tiny bit can affect you, because once you start making that one choice, that one thing that you do disciplined. And so my one of my brothers, my sister's husband, he does sprints like every single day. He runs at least 1 mile. Doesn't matter if he's sick or what. Like he just goes out 1 mile no matter what, rain, sleet. And it took him like a year, and he's like super fit and healthy. He's trying to run marathons now. It's really cool. But it all starts with just walking, man. And I can tell you, in a day where I go for as long as I go for at least a walk, that'll change how I eat. That'll change how I drink. Because if I'm feeling good about myself, I'm like, you know what? I'll eat this for lunch instead of that for lunch. And maybe I'll just have, black coffee instead of like, whatever you get from Starbucks. Whatever they, yeah. And so just making one small change. Literally, start by walking if you can walk. If you can't, like dance in your chair, it's cool. Like whatever it is, like intentionally make one decision of some kind of exercise. And I really, really recommend walking for people that are just starting out, because it's very much overlooked. Mm-hmm.
Cool. CJ, how about you?
Yeah, so look, if you're starting and you're struggling, have a chat with your doctor or involve an exercise physiologist. Make sure you're clear. Walking is a brilliant way to start. I would highly recommend walking early in the morning, because then you start your day with success. Mm-hmm. If you want to, have a read about 5 a.m. Club. It comes back to what TJ was saying about mindset. And the trouble is people change their habits in different ways and for different reasons. There's a good book by Gretchen Rubin about habit change, and some people change like that. They make a decision and then all of a sudden they flip their life. Some people have to have a trigger. So, everyone's a bit different is what I'm saying. The walking is a good place to start. Hydrotherapy or pool swimming is often one I'll use for people who have painful joints. That's good. It takes a bit of weight off, and upgrading to a cycling bike is also usually a little less pressure on the joints. Physical exercise by itself probably won't lead to a huge degree of weight loss. You may lose some, but a lot of it is what you eat. And because you're physically exercising, you then have a healthier mindset, as Dakota said, about what you eat and your lifestyle habits. So it's getting an initial habit change in, and it sort of feeds through and creates a feedback loop.
Which, incidentally, is a great series. Feedback loop, yeah.
All right, JS, how about you?
I don't have anything to add to that. I think both those guys covered what I had to say. Walking, swimming, if you can't walk, starts with one step. Just do something simple and keep doing that every day. Yeah.
Walking literally starts with one step.
Whoa.
Yeah. I can't help myself, man. It's a constant. I can't turn it off. Sorry.
All right, TJ, how about you?
So I would actually start with nutrition first. And there was an interesting podcast where two people are talking about, these different diets and stuff. And they said, well, this person was doing paleo and it really worked for him. And this person was doing, this diet and it really worked for him, but how could it work for these different body types and da-da-da. And the person was like, it's not necessarily the diet itself. It was what they cut out of their daily intake, because both people cut out the nasty food that they were eating and they just started eating cleaner options, and they both lost weight. I would say start on the nutrition side, do whatever you can to do meal prepping and cook from home and have it clean and not with processed oils or processed food. That's where I would start, because it's going to help with the inflammation. It's going to, well, yes, like CJ, I'm not a doctor, but from my own personal experience, it helps with the inflammation. It helps with the hunger pains and everything else. I would then recommend what CJ does and go with yoga first, because yoga also focuses on your breathing. It's going to focus on you stretching and taking the time to slowly warm your body up. And if you have not worked out for a long time, that is going to help you get limber. It's going to help you get mobile. And then I would look at the walking or water treatments, things of that nature, and just slowly go from there.
Perfect. Following along in a similar-ish deal, something we've also kind of talked about with the feelings of not being adequate or feeling poorly about yourself because you're in a negative mind state in certain sizes or certain weight ranges for yourself. Brian asked a good question earlier. A lot of people, myself included, disguise insecurity with self-deprecation. In your own journeys of self-improvement, have you found a marked improvement in your confidence? Part of me thinks it won't ever go away even if I get ripped. So, JS, why don't we start with you on this one?
Yes, but obviously your own insecurities and, feelings of inadequacies and whatever you've got going on inside never fully go away. I mean, there's always another step in the ladder. Like, I used to be, for example, a tournament chess player. And when I was first starting out, I looked at these dudes with like a certain rating and I was like, oh my God, if I get that good, I will be like the best. Like, I'll be so happy. And then eventually you get to that level and you're like, oh, but wait, now there's all these other people and I'm still not good. So no matter where you are in your journey, you're always going to have those same feelings of insecurities. That said, you're still going to feel really good about what you have accomplished. And that is going to help. So you're going to have feelings of accomplishment, and that's going to help with your confidence, but you're always still going to have insecurities and, feelings of, oh, but I'm not there yet. Oh, but I'm not there yet. And you just got to keep going.
Cool. All right. CJ, how about we go to you next?
Yeah, so I think this is a hard one again, but I put on a lot of weight during internship, which is, long hours, snack foods, etc. I lost a lot of that weight at the end of my training, and I do feel more confident at a lower weight range than when I was overweight. But it's multifactorial. Like, I was losing weight because I was in a better place. I wasn't as stressed at work. I was doing a job I really loved. I had more time. In terms of, will you get rid of all your insecurities? Probably not. It will help a bit. But I tell you what Dakota mentioned earlier, the time when you lose some weight and you jump into a new suit that fits and it is slick and you feel $1 million, that feeling is just amazing. That is just an amazing feeling. It won't fix everything, but it will probably help you process and sit with things that you're still working on.
Very cool. Dakota, how about you?
Oh yeah, man, it's awesome. Yeah, no, I really think that, well, for my, man, so self-deprecation, man, here's the thing. I had to look at this in a different way coming out, man, because like I said, so I've had some like major health setbacks before, like just from injuries and stuff like that. And so it's been like real, like there's been times where it's been like you get real down on yourself. And so for myself, one of the ways that I combat that is just exactly how I would combat not writer's block. What's the other one? The where you feel you're not good enough.
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter.
Thank you. Right. See, I haven't thought of it in so long. I had to get someone else to mention it. But yeah, man, just like if someone were to come in and start talking shit about my buddy TJ here, right? I'd be like, hey man, don't say crap like that about my friend, right? Don't talk about my buddy like that. Now, why would I not also say that about myself, right? Why would I not say, hey, I don't care who you are. Nobody talks about my friend Dakota like that, right? Even if it's myself. And so eventually I got to the point where I'm like, hey, you can't talk to me like that. I'm going to come and back me up about that. And it's kind of a fun way of thinking of it. But it really does actually help, um, just defend yourself from yourself. And eventually, that stuff it helps me. I don't know if it'll help you, but it does work for me. So I think that people are exactly as awesome as they want to be. I think that if you find that you are awesome, people will act like you are awesome and just roll with that. And if you had to pretend, go for it. But eventually you just stop pretending.
Yeah, that's true. And I've struggled with this personally with the whole self-deprecation thing over time. You sometimes just feel like if I say it first, then it's not that awkward, or somebody else isn't going to make fun of me at the meantime. You get you always have the jokes. TJ goes to sit on an airplane, they welcome him. I sit on an airplane, and all I see is wide eyes and, oh shit, somebody's sitting next. This guy's going to sit next to me, kind of things. But it's good to know that you can still change that mindset yourself in the process and actually work on that to be better as well. TJ, what are your thoughts?
So I've talked about this a little bit on some of my live streams when I do my weekend updates. The first thing I would say is absolutely, yes, you start to build confidence within yourself as you start to make these changes in your life. Just like we've kind of, what Dakota and everyone else has talked about, the only way for you to build confidence is by doing, right? Like, you want to get more confident as a writer, then you have to start writing and doing it. If you want to be more confident about yourself, you have to take the baby steps and the continual path forward. So one of the things that helped me was I have these 3 lists of words, descriptions on my mirror. It's still there. And every day for an entire month, I would verbally tell myself in the mirror, you are sexy, you are confident, you have a great smile, you have this, you're a great writer. So everything that was important in my life, from writing to my own personal thoughts about myself, were there. And I told myself for a month. And then one day I woke up and I didn't have those negative thoughts in my head anymore, because my body had heard myself tell myself the things that I knew I needed to hear. So yes, take those baby steps and you will find confidence. And like CJ said, you may not heal all the things, but you will have a significant impact in your mindset.
Yeah, and sometimes just that first step of moving to that next level gives you that motivation to continue to work on yourself as well and move up in that well. It's the lower you get, the harder it is, of course, to dig yourself out of that point. But when you find those little wins, celebrating those, that's a good thought to definitely keep in mind. I appreciate you bringing that up, TJ. So
can I just jump in on one thing on self-deprecation?
Absolutely.
There's an old quote. It's that watch your thoughts or words because they become your actions. Watch your actions because they become your habits. Watch your habits because they become who you are. And the trouble with self-deprecation, as all these guys have alluded to, is that the more you tell yourself that or say it, the more it becomes your thoughts, actions, habits, and character. So
yes,
I can completely understand what TJ did. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And can I glom onto that one real quick, because that was phenomenal, and I want to just continue on with what he's saying there. Something that people have to remember too is you are kind of what you do on the daily, right? And I don't mean that in like what you eat or whatever else. Like, I'm not trying to belittle anyone here. I'm saying, like, I am here in my office for like 8 to 10 hours a day writing books, right? And so I have this super nice big chair that is really good and supportive. I have this super nice mat so I can stand and work at the same time. I have a really nice bed so I can go to sleep and get a good night's rest. I have a nice office because I spend most of my waking hours in here. And so it's like, hey, I've surrounded myself with these things because this is my life. And the things that I'm working for, like being able to spend time with my family, being able to go on vacation, being able to do all these cool things, those are things I do because of my regular life, right? And so don't ignore where you are every minute of your waking hours just so that you can have something else in the future, right? Like, live in such a way that builds you up on the daily, right?
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, it's definitely something to think about, that we don't tend to focus on a daily basis. We always have, the news and media around us and social media. Everything's kind of can be a downer, or we compare our lives to what we see on Instagram, where everything's perfect all the time, even though we're not really getting the whole picture. But to think about the things that we have on a daily basis is definitely a good way to look at those things individually. That would give you even more motivation to keep those wins going. So we had
one of my favorite quotes, just dovetailing onto that. I can't remember who said it, and I apologize for this, but it's life is what happens while you're making other plans.
Oh, that was me actually. Yeah, that's
there we go. Dakota said
that. We did have another question come in from George. This is to get us a little on topic with the writing or the narrating in this. I'd like to know if your own personal fitness, mental wellness, leveling up leaks into your character's level up. Do you feel like that feeling better daily and doing these fitness things ever leaks into the work that you do on a daily basis as well? How about we start with TJ on this one?
100%. So one, every time I've hit a roadblock in my story of like, what should I do here? How is this going to play in? I have gone for a walk or a jog. Almost every time I have found the answer about a mile into that journey. And it's literally like the neurons connect in my brain. And I'm like, there you go. It's going to be a character named Zethos, and he's going to connect these two together and blah, 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 blah. And it's amazing how that works. So that helps. But then also, having been in the military for so many years and having to do sprints and mountain climb and all these things, you are able to relate to these things of, okay, he should feel this burning sensation in his quadriceps right now. And when he goes and pivots this way, well, actually in book 2 of Call Sign Bloodbath that I wrote, I have my character get muscle cramps as he's in a gunfight. And he's like, oh shit, hold on. And I was like, muscle cramps are a thing. And, you got to deal with it sometimes. So it just gives you this better sense of the physical body, how it should be moving, how you should be feeling within all of that, especially if you can have adrenaline dumps, things like that. So it's helped me in the development of the story, and it's helped me create more realistic characters, I think.
Adrenaline dumps. That's not a chapter 37 reference at all, is it? It's not one of those. So it sounds a little painful to.
Well, no, it's like, the best way to have an attack is the best way to counter an attack is to re-attack, from Sun Tzu, right? So in the military, we train ourselves, hey guys, what's a sit rep, right? Give me all your stuff. Because we know after an engagement, once the fighting stops, the adrenaline is going to start slowing down. You're going to get an extreme amount of exhaustion. So you have to keep your mind active, and you teach your guys, start running the checklist. Don't let the exhaustion overtake you. So yeah, adrenaline dumps are totally a thing that you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll just skip over. That was a poop joke, TJ. Don't worry, we'll come back to the next one. But JS, knowing that you're a narrator in this as well, do you ever feel like that actually leaks into even the narrations you do?
So first of all, I suspect all of us are gamers, and to me that applies to board games, RPGs, and also to sports. I mentioned I was a chess player. Currently, I'm a table tennis player. I go to the club a couple times a week. And so, I'm all about that feeling of like working to get better and leveling up and competition. And, so I love all of that stuff. And so obviously, I'm not creating it, I'm not writing it down, but for me to empathize with the character and know what they're going through, like absolutely 100%. Like I get off on that stuff. I live for that stuff. Sure.
Yeah. All right, Dakota, how about you?
Yeah, man. So I find that if I am not feeling healthy, my writing suffers pretty badly. And I mean, oftentimes that is extremely like emotional stuff too. So like if like I have a 1-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter, so there's like a sea of emotions all the time, not like surrounding me. I'm just kind of like floating along here. And everyone's doing things, kids in kindergarten, babies getting shots, whatever it is. And so yeah, I mean you need to have a healthy body to contain your healthy mind, and So yeah, I mean, a lot of what I do now is I do a lot of standing and dictation, which is great. And so I had to really take care of my voice like a narrator would. I don't have the kind of voice that a narrator has, but I have a really great one for dictation. Very boring and very similar cadence, and and so it works out really well for me to stay healthy so that I can work long hours and not leave at the end of the day completely drained and unable to take care of my kids or whatever it is. So if I have a nice healthy body, I can be healthy, I can work well, and then I can still do the things that I want out of life, which is being there for my family, right? And so that's what it all comes down to for me. So yeah, it
All right,
definitely
CJ.
matters. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. CJ, how about you?
I'm going to flip the question a little. So for me, I never wanted to end up as the lonely old writer in a room drinking himself to death with whiskey. So what I actually have found is if I was looking at something like, I don't understand archery, I'll look up, is there a local archery course I can go to for a couple of hours just to get a basic feel for it? So I found writing can actually be something useful to push you out of your comfort zone and go for growth. And growth is happiness. It really is. Like I've gone explored convict ruins in Sydney that I never would have because I wanted to write a chapter on something like that. Or I got back into yoga because I was like, oh, I don't really understand cultivation. How can I come at this? And part of yoga is that mindset. So, yeah, you got to be healthy to write well. But it can also be an excuse to try new things.
Mm-hmm.
Good one. Yeah, it's very cool. All right, we have another question from Geneva, actually. Can we just, and if we could also just pause for one moment to give Geneva a round of applause for everything that she does for this convention every year after year, her tireless effort that she puts into being with all these panels. It's amazing what you do, Geneva. We really appreciate you. But her question is, when getting in shape and hitting a plateau, what do you do to stay mentally motivated? Get past that point where you've kind of stabilized and need to get to the next level. I'll throw it off to JS first.
So for me, exercise has to be fun. I mean, if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not doing it, which is one of the reasons I don't have a home gym, because I don't really enjoy that. So as I said, I like games. I get a lot of cardio from table tennis. I mean, if I play table tennis for 2 hours, I'm soaked with sweat. I look like I just ran a marathon. Like, it's disgusting. But so for me, it's always just having those like challenges. I mean, and you can get them in other ways. You can get like a 7-minute workout app on your phone that'll give you, badges and stuff. I mean, whatever, you can gamify anything. And so if that's something that motivates you and keeps you happy, you'll hit a plateau, but you'll keep working because you want to beat that boss. You want to get to the next level. So that's what works for me.
Perfect. That's a great mindset to have, especially since I know a lot of people in the community here are absolutely gamers or of any kind, be it physical games or video games, whatever the case is. CJ, what do you think about hitting those plateaus and getting past that?
Yeah, that one sort of hit me interesting because I think I have hit a plateau that I'm actually happy at. I feel like I've gotten reasonably dad strong, and I'm sort of in my mid-30s, and I know that things like back injuries and other joint injuries are something that are going to come up. So, I feel like I have grown. Yes, I needed some tips in the start, gamifying things. We've got this app called Center that Chris Hemsworth runs in Australia. So, yeah, gamifying it a bit and just wanting something. Like when I started really hitting the gym more, there were things that I wanted to get out of that. But I think I've hit a plateau that I'm happy at. And I think going beyond that plateau at the moment is counterproductive.
It makes sense, yeah, because we all hit that point eventually where the check engine light comes on, and it always depends on how hard you drove the car before the check engine light comes on. So of course, some of us, the check engine light comes on a little earlier because we really hit it pretty hard in the beginning. But it's interesting to know that there can be a plateau you can be happy at too. So that's a very interesting take on that. TJ, what about you?
So I would say don't beat yourself up, because plateaus have so many factors to them. Like literally, there's times I've had plateaus and it was all due to the stress I had on myself with my work, my personal situation going on. And so I had been working out long enough and in that stuff long enough that I knew, I self-identified, this is a plateau. It's due to my stress levels. Just keep going and don't worry about it. And sure enough, it took like a week, 2-3 weeks later, I was able to progress on to the next thing. So don't get discouraged. Don't get defeated. Stay motivated with just knowing that the process itself is so much better than being defeated and giving up. And then from there, I would say do the gamification. Hey, when was the last time you pushed yourself to run an extra half mile or an extra mile? I haven't done push-ups in a while. I want to see if I can get 30 push-ups without stopping. Find some type of fitness goal that was going to push you in a different direction, and maybe see if that just helps you reattack that.
That's very cool. Very cool idea. And Dakota, how about you?
First off, hi Shinhofen. Super good to see you. Yeah, I would definitely say, so I've hit many plateaus, right? And what I like to do is then I like to see how far I can condense that exercise. So if I'm like nice and limber and everything, so if I have like a 5 set on a Monday and I get that down and I'm so good, so efficient, so smooth with the motions, I can change the weights out, I can get everything in position, and I get it down from 45 minutes to 30. And so I can do this workout in 30 minutes. But what I do then is I add on a new muscle group, right? So I'm like, hey, okay, so what else aligns with this type of workout that I'm trying to do so I can build up supportive muscles or posture muscles. What I really like to do is right now I'm doing, every time I hit 250 pounds for squats, I drop it down to 0, completely back down to the bar, and work entirely on form, just adding 5 pounds every session. And then so just trying to maximize the, like, doing things in the best way possible, I guess, is the thing that I'm trying to do. And so yeah, when I hit those plateaus, it sucks, but it's also like, hey, there's a reason. There's a reason, right?
Love it,
Like,
CJ.
yeah. What's that?
What doesn't kill you gives you XP.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So yeah.
That's very cool. I also think it's a good point to continue with those, though, to know that you are, for everybody listening and everybody watching, and it's something I'm going to have to implement in myself as well. When you hit a plateau, just the thought came to me, take the time on that plateau to stop and smell the flowers, because hitting a plateau is a great place to look back at where you've come from.
Heck yeah.
So it's a nice vantage point to see all the progress you've made so far, and never ever be too hard on yourself for the fact that you did make progress, because you got up this morning and you did something different than what you did before, because what you were doing before didn't work. So I like those the thoughts that you guys have had on all these. Well, I have 7:57, which gives us about 3 more minutes till the end time. If we go a little over, it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings, though. I want to thank each of you guys for coming, and I want to give you a chance one more time to plug your works and tell us. Also, want you to tell me what you guys are most proud of and the things that you've been doing in your workouts recently, since we can try to keep this on topic. What are some of the things that you are most proud of in your works and most proud of that you've been doing in your workouts recently? CJ, I'll pass it off to you first.
Knights of the North Pole Santa cultivation novel with Santa reincarnation in the North Pole drops now on Audible through Podium. I have put out a book. If there is any other voices in the chat, it's called Be an Awesome GP. And that's really all I'm up to. I'm also started a podcast called the Lit RPG Banter Podcast. So that's what I'm up to, and I'll pass it on.
All right, Dakota.
Yeah, I am. Like I said at the start of this, I have 6 months here, so half a year where I have a book out every month, which is really cool for me. I had to sit on those books for a long time to get that backlog, and so that's something I'm really happy with, is 6 months of me coming out, and that gives me 6 more months to get more books out and ready. So maybe I can see if I can push it to a full year at a time, and I think that'd be cool. So I'm doing that just for fun, and I think it's neat. Let's see, for workout stuff recently. So I had symptoms consistent with a partial Achilles tear on my left foot. And that happened earlier this year around February. And so recently, so just this month, I was able to start like rollerblading again. So I'm really happy with that. And like very light jogging and stuff like that. I've just had to do a lot of physical therapy to get that foot going in. And I don't mean like going in. I mean, I have like my sister is a chiropractor and has really great advice on this. And like everyone in my family is medical, so I didn't have to go in anywhere to do this. They were just like, okay, so here's what you do. Here's the thing, next thing. Here's the next thing. And so yeah, I've gotten to the point now where I can start getting back into doing the things that I love to do, which I'm really happy about.
Awesome. That's great to hear. All right, JS, how about you?
Let's see. As I mentioned, I'm excited about the Troy Osgood's Warbreaker coming out soon. I'm currently recording this Academy Extra series for Podium. Upcoming. Oh, I just recorded the Jester Apocalypse 2 for Podium.
Nice.
I've got upcoming Awakening Horde number 2 and brain fart. Oh my god.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one who does that.
He has so many works he can't remember the one it is. That must be a terrible problem to have, JS.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah. Anyway, let's just leave it there since my brain just stopped working. I have to reboot.
All right. Anything that you're looking forward to with your workouts, or proud of things that are happening right now, or that you're really enjoying doing?
Workouts. I've gotten back into mountain biking recently, actually. I found a new friend. I've been getting out maybe once a week doing that, and that's super fun. I like it a lot.
Awesome. That does sound like fun. All right, TJ, and how about you?
All right. What was the question? So let's see here. So all my links are going to be in the chat, you guys. I would say, if anything, come follow me on my YouTube channel. And the reason I say that is on those Saturdays, I love to get my thoughts of the week. And if stuff like this is something that you guys would like to talk about more, I'd be happy to share, my thoughts, my advice, little programs that I've done throughout my career to stay fit and to stay engaged. So you can follow me there. My biggest thing is looking at some of the starred comments that we still have. Just dedicate it to yourself, man, and just get going. I'm really excited because I'm actually going to be moving 40 minutes south of JS back to Salem, Oregon here at the end of the month. And
sweet.
So I am stoked because there's a whole bunch of hiking trails that I'm going to be getting into. So I'm excited for what's going to be happening at the end of the month. And yeah, that's about it, really.
Awesome. Well, once again, and you definitely, for everybody watching, definitely go check out TJ's Thoughts of the Weeks. I'm in there like every week, and it really is inspirational. I love the stuff that you bring up each time. So if you haven't checked those out before, definitely go do that. But also go check out everybody else that's been on this panel before. Everybody has some great works in the coming down the pipelines and things that are already out. But we want to thank each of you again for joining us today, for taking the time out of your knowingly busy schedules, especially CJ. We know that you probably haven't slept in like 6 weeks now with a new kid. I mean, that's just how it is right off the bat. So we appreciate all of the time that you guys have dedicated here. And if there's one thing that I would ask for everybody to take away from this is to celebrate your victories as you have them. Make small changes and then just continue to keep those steps going forward so that you can know that you can make a change in your life, even if it's just a small change at first, and don't forget to celebrate the victories. So again, thank you guys for joining us, and I hope that everybody will be joining up next. I believe, Dakota, you're up next with a takeover, correct?
I am, yeah.
So everybody definitely needs to go check out. Yep, everybody needs to go check out Dakota's takeover next. But again, thank you guys for coming, and everybody have a good night.
Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you so much for moderating. Yeah.